A raucous crowd. Good morning, Hennepin County. Mi familia. Welcome to the 2022 Hennepin County State of the County Address. I'm Paul Williams. I'm the President and CEO of Project for Pride in Living, and it is an honor to be here with you in this beautiful building today. As some of you may know, PPL is an organization that builds the hope, assets, and self-reliance of individuals and families who have lower incomes by providing transformative affordable housing and career readiness services. At PPL, we believe that the most effective way to promote long-term self-reliance is by stabilizing the economics of a household. When we stabilize a household economically, we help set the stage for long-term success. Our belief is that stable housing and career skills are two critical foundations for success. Our career readiness programs in particular provide participants with the skills necessary to get and keep a job with proven income growth and job placements. But we can't do this work alone. We do it through deep, lasting partnerships with others in the nonprofit sector, the private sector, and government. Our long-standing innovative and partnerships with Hennepin County are among some of our most successful partnerships that we do at PPL in any given year. In addition to partnering with the county to leverage tens of millions of dollars for affordable housing, we've partnered on the Hennepin Pathways program, which trains residents of marginalized communities for high-demand fields with good wages, benefits, and a future in both public and private sector jobs. Hennepin County has hired over 328 participants through this program, and our other partners have hired more than 225. 44% of those Hennepin employees have advanced to higher level positions. The Hennepin Pathways graduates have an average wage increase of over 140%. And analyses of the program have shown that a decrease in public assistance used by cohort members was equal to the cost of the program in just over 17 months. It's a 17-month payoff. And that doesn't even begin to study the lifelong impacts these residents will benefit from, nor the community contributions they will continue to make themselves. The program continues to be a tremendous example of partnership. Hennepin County has demonstrated its commitment to partnership time and time again in this community. I've had the honor of working with many leaders across the county in recent years on housing, on economic development, on workforce, on youth, on homelessness, COVID relief, and the list goes on. This county walks the walk. And that's why I'm honored to be here today to introduce a committed public servant who has dedicated her career to partnerships and community building. Please join me in welcoming the chair of the Hennepin County Board and District 3 Commissioner, Marion Green, to share this year's State of the County address.
Hello, and thank you for joining me for Hennepin County's first ever hybrid State of the County address. We are so glad that you're here in person, and to those of you who are watching online, we welcome you all. And thank you, Paul Williams, for that warm introduction and for years of partnership with Hennepin County. It's my pleasure to be here today speaking to you from Hennepin County's Minneapolis Central Library, an institution that dates back to 1889. While this beautiful building was erected in much more modern times, and the county's operation of it dates back only to the beginning of the 21st century, the enduring legacy of the public library system seems a fitting place to find ourselves in a time of monumental change, where our storied institutions and our government play a critical role. Joining us today are Hennepin County Commissioners Jeff Lundy from District 1, Irene Fernando from District 2, Angela Conley from District 4, Debbie Gotel from District 5, who is also Vice Chair, Chris Latondras from District 6, and Kevin Anderson from District 7. The 7 commissioners have just completed our second in-person board cycle together, which has reminded me of the endless possibilities that this board and each individual's experience and priorities can bring to our region. I also welcome representation from the County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Patrick Chelmo, and our outgoing Hennepin County Attorney, Mike Freeman. Thank you all for your service to Hennepin County. To Commissioners Anderson, Latondras, and Lundy, who were elected during stay-at-home orders, thank you for bringing your full selves to the work, having been sworn in and then governing remotely. And to Commissioners Conley, Fernando, and Gotel, thank you for maintaining the same unrelenting energy towards leading Hennepin County, for using these unprecedented times to drive real-time change, and for looking ahead and not losing sight of the county's future. And David Huff, our county administrator, and to all the county's staff who are both helping shape the future of work post-pandemic and leading and leaning in every day to deliver services in new ways. I want to say a special thank you for the work that you've done and the work ahead. You've done a tremendous job making sure our residents have had continuous access to county services and supports, that the most vulnerable in our communities were cared for during the largest public health crisis we have ever faced. The county's work and the county's future is truly in the hands of an incredible team of over 9,000 employees that make up the county enterprise across 46 municipalities, 22 school districts, and over 135 locations. A resounding thank you to all. And one last offer of gratitude to the county staff who contributed to the production of this address and live streaming. And a quick shout out to my parents who made the trek from New Hampshire to be here today. Today, I'm going to highlight both challenges facing our county and successes in our service to residents, but I hope you leave today understanding that it is my firm belief that government at its core exists to steward the common good and provide a safety net for those who need it. That as society takes on the biggest challenges and ambitious endeavors, the work cannot be done alone. It is in partnership and through collaboration that we will find our path to a thriving future. And finally, that now, more than ever, the responsibility for convening, responding, and for leading when it comes to complex societal challenges falls ever more on local government and our partners. Hennepin County stands out regionally and nationally among local jurisdictions. By population, we're the biggest county in the state and the 33rd largest in the country. Hennepin County's population is bigger than that of Rhode Island, or Alaska, or Delaware. Over 20% of the state's population is in Hennepin County. Minnesota is home to more than our share of Fortune 500 companies compared to other states, and more than our share of them are headquartered right here in Hennepin County. We have the most representation at the state legislature. We are a cultural center with world-class museums, home to renowned public and private educational institutions, and have a national reputation for the arts and civic engagement. We're growing, marking almost 12% population growth since 2010, and we maintain and support a tax base that allows the county board to address the day-to-day needs of our community, to act as emergencies arise, to exercise regional influence, and to tackle some of the largest challenges facing our generation: racial inequity and climate change. It is not easy work. In this moment, as we continue to push through a global pandemic that has exacerbated deep disparities in our region and country, and enormous roadblocks continue to emerge for new Americans and BIPOC communities. In this moment, prioritizing the voices of residents is not just a commitment of mine, and that of my peers. It's not just good governance. It's an absolute necessity as a step to addressing the steep challenges our region faces. And of course, we don't and can't act alone. As one of the largest public entities in the Midwest, we know that the efforts we make reverberate throughout our region and have a lasting impact on what our neighbors see as possible. Jurisdictions from across the country model their policies based on what we decide is possible, what we implement. Hennepin County leadership in many ways steers our regional trajectory. And what makes our efforts so successful is our ability to form and maintain multi-sector partnerships. We know that little is accomplished working alone, and we understand the need to partner with like-minded organizations to achieve our goals. In that vein, a big thank you to our many partner organizations and jurisdictions who are in the audience today, philanthropic partners, nonprofit partners. I'd like to specifically acknowledge the elected leaders whom I know are in the audience. From the Minnesota House of Representatives, Representatives Kristen Boehner, Heather Edelson, Ginny Cleavorn, Mahmoud Noor, Kristen Robbins, Samantha Vang, Cheryl Joachim, and Senator Mary Kunesh. And two people I look forward to working with when they are in the legislature, Zainab Mohammed and Samantha Sensor-Mura. We're also joined today by Minneapolis Park and Rec Commissioner Becky Alper, and from the Metropolitan Council, Councilmember John Pacheco. I'm going to let you in on a lot of specifics this morning, and the headline is, Hennepin County and our partners are changing lives. We're changing lives by preserving our planet. We're changing lives by making sure everyone has a roof over their head. We're changing lives by ensuring livelihood. First, climate action and preserving our planet. When the board updated the county's goals in 2021 to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050, we positioned Hennepin County as a leader on addressing climate change with one of the most ambitious goals by local government. The Climate Action Plan is a living, working framework that provides an outline to meet ambitious greenhouse gas emission reduction goals, guidance on how all county departments can mitigate, prepare for, and adapt to the challenging climate, and focuses on prioritizing a more equitable and resilient Hennepin County. We've since created a Climate and Resiliency Department to operationalize this plan. We're pursuing these foundational strategies. To achieve carbon neutrality in county buildings and to continue reducing energy use by 3% annually, we're completing a building decarbonization study and installing a solar array at the Adult Corrections Facility. To cut greenhouse gas emissions in transportation and to reduce vehicle miles traveled, we fund transit and transit-oriented development. We advocate for and fund maintenance of existing transit routes and the development of new routes, and we are electrifying the county's fleet and expanding charging stations. To achieve a zero-waste future where all materials become resources for others to use, we're engaging community in developing a zero-waste plan. We're also leading the way in reducing food waste by supporting organizations that rescue food, providing waste prevention grants, and expanding residential organics recycling programs. And to capture carbon from the atmosphere by protecting our natural resources, the county works with private and public landowners to plant trees, preserve and restore natural areas, and improve soil health. The county sees trees as critical infrastructure. The county is responding to increased pressure on natural resources and the built environment by preparing for impacts such as increased rainfall, extreme weather, and freeze-thaw cycles on building sites and roads and other infrastructure. It seems appropriate to mention heat. I want to thank Commissioner Guttel for prioritizing this work. The investments the county makes in responding to climate change now also present the opportunity to reduce disparities in impact and employment and grow the economy in the future. The county is protecting the health of residents amid these increasing threats and prioritizing disparity reduction. We're increasing the heat island effect by enhancing the community forest, developing a roadmap to plant 1 million trees equitably, and developing a pilot program for a tree green job training opportunity to plant trees on tax forfeited properties. Every dollar working on multiple levels. We're strengthening individual and community resilience by supporting the redevelopment of urban parcels into productive community gardens, developing a GIS hub to assess climate vulnerability, and building a new automated weather station in North Minneapolis to improve weather forecasting and engage youth in climate change science. We're strengthening partnerships for collective action on climate. Our partners in statewide efforts include the Minnesota Climate Action Framework, Minnesota's Sustainable Transportation Advisory Council, and the Green Step Cities program. The county is also coordinating with 21 municipalities, government agencies, and community organizations to leverage resources and center disparity reduction in our climate work. Next, housing. A healthy economic and cultural region is impossible without stable housing for residents and emergency shelter for those experiencing homelessness. We all know that Minneapolis and cities across Hennepin County and the country are facing an intense and housing affordability crisis. Purchase and rental costs are going up, housing is becoming more difficult to secure, and individual buying power remains stagnant. This is leading to increased destabilization of communities across the county and has only been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic and long-standing inequities in our region. Initially, the board invested the first big tranche of federal funding towards emergency relief, rental assistance, housing supports, and small business relief. All programming was designed through a lens of racial justice to address disparities that existed before the pandemic and were exacerbated by the pandemic. We then took another massive allocation of relief funds to change the trajectory of longstanding disparities in housing. We're investing in home ownership opportunities for BIPOC residents, housing and housing stability, internet and technology accessibility to close the digital divide, a priority of Commissioner Anderson's, maternal health to close the mother-baby wellness divides, a priority of Commissioner Conley's, gun violence prevention, anti-hate initiatives, tailored public safety for each community, priorities of Commissioner Lundy's, and youth services, a priority of Commissioner Fernando's, and so much more. There's so much good work going on at Hennepin County that I want to tell you all about, but I am focusing on housing. We know that once people have stable housing, they go on to maintain jobs, seek education, address chronic health conditions, and otherwise build successful lives. Here are a few of our key investments. We're expanding affordable housing production. Hennepin County has increased affordable multifamily housing production by providing financing that will help key projects open more quickly. An example project, the historic reuse of Calvary Church at 39th in Chicago. This project will create 41 units of new housing, all affordable to households with the lowest incomes. 10 of these units will be designated for families immediately exiting homelessness. It will include on-site supportive services, including a food shelf on the premises. We're investing in naturally occurring affordable housing, also known as NOAH. We've financed its preservation and have addressed a backlog of deferred rehab and maintenance at various NOAH properties. We're acquiring properties. We've purchased properties to turn them into long-term affordable housing, especially single-room occupancy housing for single adults impacted by the pandemic and facing homelessness or housing instability. To date, we've purchased 6 properties that will become 226 units of single-room occupancy housing affordable to people at the very lowest income levels. This type of housing is the first step out of homelessness for many people, but is essentially non-existent in the current housing market. We're increasing homeownership with new programs to help people disproportionately impacted by the pandemic build wealth through ownership. Just one example is the Portland Place project, led in partnership with Project for Pride in Living and the City of Lakes Community Land Trust. It'll create 9 homes for sale through the land trust model that'll be perpetually affordable to houses below 60% of the area median income. And for the first time, we're leading rather than just responding to the real estate market by being a first-in funder through our innovative supportive housing strategy. I recently attended the ribbon cutting for one of those exciting projects, Endeavors by Catholic Charities. We were proud to be the first in funding partner with a $5 million commitment that helps secure the need additional funding to bring this groundbreaking project online. By investing more boldly earlier in the project development process, we hope to be able to work with other partners to create 1,000 units of deeply affordable housing, supportive housing, over 10 years. This is the type of housing that serves the unique needs of neighbors that experience the worst health and safety outcomes when they experience housing instability. To offer some overview of this monumental work and its achievements, last month, Hennepin County authorized another $46 million in federal pandemic recovery funds for equitable housing recovery. Initial goals set for this funding were to create or preserve 2,000 units of affordable housing and help more than 100 households buy homes. With nearly $13 million left in the federal funding, Hennepin County is poised to far exceed these initial estimates. As Commissioner Latondra said, we had a strong housing and homelessness strategy going into the COVID-19 pandemic that allowed us to have a deep impact during the crisis response phase. We're now able to build on and maximize the long-term impact of those strategies as we recover and position our region for a more equitable future. It's important to acknowledge, in many cases, before county clients obtain permanent long-term housing, we first need to find them emergency shelter. Hennepin County is investing in shelter access and operations by supporting our current system, extending shelter hours, reducing barriers to access, strengthening alternatives to shelter, increasing shelter safety, and working upstream to prevent homelessness from occurring in the first place. All of these initiatives are intended to better support shelter residents as we assist shelters in meeting CDC guidelines for pandemic protection. So I spoke to you about climate change. I shared with you about housing, and now I want to talk about employment and small business support. Over the last 2 years, Hennepin County has allocated $93 million towards business support and relief, as well as recovery and resilience. And these dollars have been allocated with intention. According to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, people of color continue to experience higher rates of unemployment than white workers. This includes American Indian, Asian, Black, and Hispanic Latinx workers. We also know that these residents experience the highest rates of unemployment. For multiple reasons, we have a mantle of responsibility. Hennepin County is the economic engine of our state. Yet, the hard truth is that economic power and success is not distributed equitably in our region. We continue to see stark disparities in metrics like employment, education, and business ownership. If people of color owned businesses at the same rate as white people, Hennepin County would have 6.8 times more Black-owned businesses and 5.5 times more Latinx-owned businesses. Starting and growing a business is a critical way for residents to build wealth that stays in our communities. Since the pandemic, more and more people are taking this route to success too. Small business formations are up 31% since the pandemic began. And that's why we're prioritizing business support as a key component of our pandemic recovery strategy. Investments and innovations that we make now can transform how businesses grow and succeed and magnify the many positive returns they bring to our communities. Elevate Business, a partnership with the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce, is the county's newest banner small business support initiative. Through it, we're growing an innovative, inclusive network of no-cost business support and advising that will establish a sustainable ecosystem of small business success that sets us on a steadfast path for inclusive growth that benefits all Hennepin residents. Over the last year, we've helped more than 900 businesses access free expert advising in areas like the law, accounting, marketing, so much more. Our goal is to make it easier than ever for businesses of all backgrounds to start and grow in Hennepin County. And that's why we've contracted with 23 specialized advisors with an emphasis on offering culturally specific services in multiple languages. And we're excited to roll out even more programming and resources that target businesses at every stage of growth. Also, through an exciting new partnership with Fearless Commerce and the Activate Network, we're working to increase opportunities particularly for businesses owned by women of color. Certified Access Academy is a virtual cohort focused on supporting women of color business owners by providing strategic consulting to advance business certification and increase opportunities to do business with government and corporations. We're excited. Businesses also need affordable places to do business. Through the Community Investment Initiative, we're providing funding for a place-based approach to strengthen communities, accelerate economic recovery, and address disparities exacerbated by the pandemic. The money will go to a variety of projects, including business incubators, long-term affordable commercial space, and organizations providing economic recovery services to communities disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. Another critical place-based approach that we're taking to recovery is the Community Asset Transition Fund, also known as the CAT Fund, which seeks to maintain local ownership of community assets and affordability of property in areas impacted by civil unrest. This is something we learned from the 2008 recession. We want to keep ownership local. We were proud to be the first investor in this critical effort led in partnership by Twin Cities LISC. Already, the CAT Fund has preserved and retained local ownership of multiple commercial properties in areas impacted by civil unrest, especially along the Lake Street Cultural Corridor. We're excited to double down on this model by creating a similar initiative in North Minneapolis through a strong partnership with Pillsbury United's Justice Built Communities. These two initiatives represent $6 million in Hennepin County investment that will leverage at least 3 times that to generate $24 million and more in community-driven investments that build local wealth. Building our capacity locally to develop and advance community visions for growth and future development is critical. That's why through our transit-oriented development program, we're excited to explore investing in emerging developers, particularly those from historically marginalized groups, to help them overcome barriers in the development industry so they can determine the future of their own communities and build wealth where they live and work, the same communities that suffered the worst impacts of the pandemic and civil unrest. These supports, however, are most impactful if our communities are connected, so we are making critical investments in these areas too. Hennepin County and our partners have designed a network of existing or proposed transitways, which serve 11 of Minnesota's 17 Fortune 500 company headquarters, not to mention the service and hospitality economy that grows alongside our economic centers. I want to acknowledge particularly the championship of Commissioner Irene Fernando, who's also chair of the Hennepin County Rail Authority. The Twin Cities Metro is expected to add another 700,000 people by 2040. Light rail systems produce 62% less greenhouse gas emissions per passenger mile than average single occupancy vehicles, improving air quality, benefiting the health of residents and the environment, and reducing residents' needs for cars. And that's why we are investing in the Green and Blue Line light rail extension projects. These projects will bring immense value to the entire state. Great states have thriving metro regions with great transit systems. Our peer regions, not only across the country, but around the world, are investing in transit projects just like these. We need a world-class transit system to compete on the national and global stage. We are committed to working closely with partners at every level to complete these projects and advance this long-term vision together. Hopefully, at this point in the address, you've heard recurring opportunities for partnership, and maybe you're even thinking about new ways we can address these challenges together. As you contemplate these opportunities and existing work, I want to share with you one more commitment to partnership that we are making as a county. That's our partnership with residents. We believe that none of the issues mentioned today or the myriad of others facing our communities can be addressed without the voices of community. We're working hard to create and strengthen long-term sustainable relationships built on trust. We're committed to thoughtful, strategic engagement that is genuine, sustainable, and done with heart and intention. And we're thoroughly striving to engage with humility, to listen intentionally, and to problem solve in relationship with others. There is no doubt that the country and region are still reckoning with deep divisions, challenges, pain, and an uncertain future. But I'm here to declare that if we continue our work, if we step into every meeting, take every call, and co-create policy with the preface of improving the lives of our residents and building a better, more equitable future, we can reconcile the damages we've witnessed. We can build on the accomplishments we've created. And together, we can set out a brand new form of leadership and policymaking that can be known for its courage, and modernity, its people-centered emphasis, its compassion and audacity, and its durability that can be modeled for years to come. This county, the people in this room and online, our residents and partners, we can and are doing this. We can be nimble, we can be responsive, we can be inclusive, we can end the disparities that hamper our region. We should all be inspired to do so, not just because we can, but because we want every resident to have the opportunity to thrive. We have to continue to champion every resident and the planet. This is what will improve lives and will make our region even more attractive to live in and an even more attractive a place to build a business. This is how we will collectively say that we did everything in our time to make our home a better place for the coming generations. The state of the county is strong, and with these shared commitments and these shared partnerships, we'll be strong for generations to come. Thank you.